little haircut we're going to do, but what I love about it is it's very non-binary. And what non-binary means is like very unisex, very transgender, all right, very gender neutral. What that means is literally we can cut this on a boy, and we can cut this on a girl, all right? We can cut this on an older lady, a maturer lady, or a young girl, all right? And that's what I love about it. It's not like made for a particular group, all right? So it's very unisex. So if any of you out there cut a lot of men's hair, you could approach this haircut the same as a man, and you could even do it as a lady's haircut. The only difference when I'm selling it to a guy, I would call it more of a crop. I say, hey, I'm going to give you a little choppy crop. If I'm going to do it on a girl, I say, hey, I'm going to do a pixie. All right. So I've wet my mannequin down, but say this in a real life scenario. Okay. Say like this was in a real life scenario. This is a real client, not a plastic head. All right. So if this was a real client, she would come into the salon, and I don't like to cape the client. I don't like to put a gown or a cape on a client, because I think you can tell as a hairdresser a lot from what your client wears. Is she business dress? Is she smart? Is she casual? Or is she very laid back? Also, is she wearing sporty clothes? So you can tell a lot from what clients wear in their lifestyle. Has she got a manicure, a pedicure? Does she have a heel on, or does she wear a flip-flop? All right, or sandals? So you can tell a lot like with what their lifestyle is. Then I sit them in the chair, and when I do a consultation, I want to be quick and straight to the point. So I feel like the biggest mistake as a hair cutter is it's too short. So the biggest mistake you can do is either cut it too much off, because they can't stick it back on. All right. So if it's too long, the client can say, it's a bit too long, can you recut it? It's going to make me run behind as a hairdresser, but I can also get a little bit faster that way. All right. So I can always catch up a little bit. But really what I'm trying to say is the consultation is key. So I ask 3 questions on a consultation, always the same. I ask 3 questions. My 3 questions are, what do you love about your hair at the moment? It's an open question. So what do you love about your hair at the moment? Oh, it's too long. Okay, it's too long. Where's it too long? Everywhere. I like it really short. Okay, how short do you like it? Short. I don't want to see my ears though. I like it covering my ear. All right, I don't want to go round my ear. I don't want it too short where it looks like a man's haircut or shaved. I don't want to see skin. So that shows me that I can't do scissor over comb, I can't use clippers, and I can't take it mega short over the ear. So she's explained like the shortest she wouldn't like it, but she's also said it's too long. All right. Then I'm going to ask her, all right, what do you love about your hair at the moment? And she said, nothing. I don't love anything about it. So what do you love about your hair? Don't like anything at the moment. It's too long. What do you hate about it? It's just basically flat, shapeless. I want to give a little bit more. I want to go for more of a pixie. Okay, cool. And my 3rd and final question would be, what product do you use in your hair? And I always ask what product they use in the hair, because it's helping me choose a product within the salon. Yeah, this lady might not use ref. Yeah, she might not know what ref is, but then all of a sudden I can turn around and if she says I'm using an oil in another brand, then I could use an oil in ref. If she's using it in a paste or a pomade or a mousse, then I can identify what product she likes. Yeah. So if she turns around and says, I hate sticky, gooey products, then I'm not going to put a sticky, gooey product in her hair. I'm going to work something a little bit more drier and a bit lighter. So in a way, asking what product a client likes in her hair identifies, you know, what product you can use. Because if she doesn't want anything sticky and gooey, don't put it in. All right. So I'm going to cut with products as well. I like to cut with products. So say we've shampooed, we've conditioned. So now I'm going to work in 2 products to section off the hair. I haven't sectioned off the hair. I'm going to literally do the whole haircut for you. So I'm going to work in a product called Sculpting Gel. Some of you might be like, bloody hell, he's going to cut with gel. I'm like, yeah, of course I am. All right, so I'm going to use the gel. All right, you don't have to do this. I'm just here to share with you some new stuff. And I like to cocktail, okay? So I put a little bit of the gel into my hands, not too much, but I'm going to dilute it. Okay, so I'm going to dilute it, and I'm going to dilute it with a little bit of the leave-in treatment. So the leave-in treatment, I'm going to mix it and cocktail it with that. All right, so a couple of squirts, same amount. If you know, same pump, same amount, and just literally work it through. All right, so I've got a little bit of the sculpting gel and a little bit of the leave-in treatment, and I'm just going to mix that together, a nice little cocktail, and then work it through the hair. Okay. Okay, so I've worked all that through the hair, nicely through. Client's going to go, I love the smell. Yeah, and then what you do, if the client says they love the smell and they love the product, you've got the product in front of the client. You've showed them how to put it. The best way to retail is to put these products in the client's hands now. Say, you know what, excuse me, when you just hold these products for me, she will hold the product for you. You can use it, yeah? And when you give a product to a client, what are they going to do? They're going to look at it, they're going to read it and say, ref leave-in treatment. She's going to smell it, and then she's going to turn it around and look at all the ingredients because we're in America. All right. And then they might ask, how much are they? They might ask some exclusive points about the product. If I just put these back on a shelf, the client doesn't see me use any product in the salon. Okay. So it's all about, you know, getting clients to see the word product. I can do a great haircut, but how do I make it better? Using product. Also, I don't want my client to, you know, bump into my client in a supermarket. And then I look at her and I go, oh, I do her hair. Look at the state of it. It looks dry, it looks fluffy. She's not got any product in it. If you're going to do a short, choppy pixie, yeah, and you're going to do a nice little pixie, it needs product. It needs to come to life. All right. So make sure you've got the right product choice in there. Okay. So you comb all that through. All right. So you've got all that through. You've got your sculpting gel and your leave-in treatment. Right. I'm going to work in a horseshoe section. All right, so some of you might not know what that is, but a horseshoe is literally below the curvature of the head, and we're going to go all the way around to the recession area. So when you look at it on a profile, it's going to look like a horseshoe. It's going to look like a horizontal section. It's going to look horizontal. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start at the back of the head. You can get the comb if you wish and put it flat on the head, and you're going to go above the curve. All right, so you go above the curve of the head, and you're just going to isolate the top out the way. So I'm literally splitting the head into two sections, okay? So I'm going to work below the horseshoe, and then later on, I'm going to work above the horseshoe, okay? So the sectioning pattern is simple. And when it's simple, guess what? You'll use it in the salon. There's nothing much worse than doing a haircut and it takes you 20 minutes to do the sectioning pattern. It's not salon friendly. It's not going to make you any money. This haircut can make you money. Yeah, our education, what we offer here at the school, all the haircuts are salon friendly. People always say to me, what's the difference between an edgy haircut and a haircut which is very commercial and salon friendly? And I usually say 2 inches. 2 inches shorter, and it's like, wow, that's a bit edgy. 2 inches longer, and everybody loves it. All right, so there's a great example, because cut a fringe above the eyebrows, and it's like, wow. Put a fringe towards the nose or the lips, most clients are like, oh, I'll have that one. All right. So you've done a little horseshoe in there. Just step away, just check your balance, make sure it's balanced all the way through. And then you can have a closer look. So if I bring that dolly a bit closer, there she is. So you can see you're literally working below the curve of the head and you're working horizontally to the recession area. Okay. So you're making sure, like if you put your comb, if you get a comb and you put it horizontal, vertical, then you're above the curve of the head. That's what we're looking for. We're looking above the curve of the head. All right, so I'm going to start at the sides of the haircut. I'm going to start at the sides when I do a short hair. I always do this on male and female. I always start at the sides when I cut short hair. Why this is because I did a mistake years ago when I was a teenager on short hair. I started at the back and I worked all the way around to the front, and the client went, wow, that's short. And I went, pardon? And she went, it's really short. Because she saw how much was coming off at the ear, and I said it's short, and she went, yeah, it's way too short. And I go, and I was going bright red, and I go, it's short, you should see the back then, it's all off. All right, so all of a sudden it's like, oh, scary. So if your client's not sure what length to go for and you're not quite sure what to go for, start at the side. So I'm going to work diagonal back. I'm going to work a technique called palm to palm. So I'm working from the inside of my fingers. Okay, so I'm going to bring everything out 90 from the head, palm to palm. So my elevation, so the elevation of the haircut is 90. The distribution, the way I'm combing the hair, is also 90. And I'm going to blunt cut it. Okay, why I'm going to blunt cut it is because I'm working on more of a shorter shape. Okay, So I'm literally bringing everything out 90. Okay, so everything on the base at 90. The distribution, elevation is 90, and we're just cutting it all blunt. Okay, so we'll cut every single thing blunt. All right, so now I would get the client involved and say, hey, what do you think of that length? Yeah, so you've done maybe 1, 2 sections on the base, and then the client can see it. Get the client to even get the hand and put it in the hair and have a feel. If they like that, then you can continue for the rest of the haircut. If they turn around and say, it's a little bit too long, you can go back in and cut more off. So what I'm trying to say is make life easy for yourself. There's nothing much worse than cutting the whole side, and then she turns around and says, oh, can you just cut a bit more off? Wow, that's going to put me behind for the rest of the day when I've got next clients in. Okay, so let her feel, let him feel. If that feels okay, then we can continue. If the worst comes to the worst and she goes, oh, it's too short, also you've got a get out of jail free card. What that means is I would come off the base. So the first 2 sections are on the base. So what I would do now, if I made too short and the client was a little bit nervous, then I would go the 3rd section off the base. Yeah, and then I do the 4th section off the base, and then I would eventually just go a little bit longer through the back. So I've got that kind of, the 2 sections would be really short here, but then I can over direct and get out of jail free card. All right, if that makes sense. So it's always nice to know if you made a mistake, where can you go? And also if it goes too short, too long, where do you go? All right, so you're happy with that length. Client's like, yeah, I like that length. All right, so what I'm going to do now is to get a stronger guideline. So we've got a guideline through the front. So what I'm going to do now to get an even stronger guideline all the way around, I'm just going to go and mirror the horseshoe. So I'm going to work like a horizontal just underneath the horseshoe, about as wide as my cutting comb. So this is our own edge comb. You know, you can speak to Natalie or any of the guys at Ref, or you can give us a DM. But these are our own customized combs. We had them specially made for our academy. This is the edge orange comb. It also has a ruler on the spine, so you can check your balance. These are amazing because we made them orange, because if you do scissor over comb, you can see what you're cutting. Most combs out there are either black or dark, and you can't see what you're cutting. So if it stands out and it's orange, okay, so we've had these a few years. So what we're going to do, we're going to literally do a section horizontal or mirrored to the horseshoe. Yeah, and I'm going to bring everything out on the base at 90. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a section underneath the horseshoe as one section. It's all going to be blunt cut, this haircut. All right, so I'm blunt cutting. I'm not point cutting. I'm going to point cut the top later for texture. But because the graduation is so short through the underneath, yeah, I don't want to create indentation marks or little scissor marks. So let's just cut it all blunt. Sometimes when you're cutting hair so short, doing point cutting doesn't make a difference. Yeah, if it's so short already, just clip it clean and blunt. So what we're doing here is just literally bringing everything out on the base at 90. So one section underneath, so you're working parallel to the parting, you're bringing it out at 90, and you're just working all the way around. So what you're measuring, you want to get that length at the front, be the same at the top of the ear and at the nape, and then we're literally going round the head. So we're literally going all the way around the head shape. So you've got a nice strong guideline. So we're just trying to make life simple when we're doing a short little pixie. All right, so you just literally bring everything on that base, all blunt, all the way through that one section. Yeah, and then if you're a cross checker and you like to check the balance, you can pick up with your comb, check it with your comb, like a little ruler, okay? And then you're happy. Right, so once you're happy with that, you've got that one guideline. We're just going to continue now working into the back. All right, so we're going to work palm to palm. I'm a right-handed hairdresser, so I'm literally going to work this side with my fingers up, and then the opposite side we'll be working with my fingers down, working palm to palm. All right, so I'm just going to crack on. If anyone's got any questions, you know, you can either text them into the chat. Natalie will let me know if there's been any questions. So I'm just going to continue working my fingers up on the base, everything 90, all the way to the center of the nape now. And then we'll start on to the opposite side. So while I'm doing that, Nat, if there's any questions, we can go through and start answering them.
So I have one for you.
Yeah.
Hold on. Well, somebody just posted, Jill just posted, is it all diagonal back?
Yes, it is. Very
All
good.
right, there you
So
go,
it's all
Jill.
diagonal
And then,
back, so it's more comfortable for you. Because if it was vertical, it wouldn't be as comfortable. So slightly diagonal is going to be more comfortable for you. Yes.
all right, and then I have a question from Sean in regards to pricing. He says, what do you think about non-binary pricing? Charged by time, question mark, or charged by length?
Ah, very good. I like that. We're in the world of 2021. All right, so we're here in California. Everything's about non-binary. You go to a toilet now, it's all about gender toilets. You know, there's not a woman's toilet and a lady's toilet, a guy's toilet now. I go to a local pub, which was all men. Yeah? And now all of a sudden the toilet says non-binary, unisex, things like that. So we do get a lot of that in the salons. I speak to a lot of the top salons here in San Diego market, and they are now doing it on length. Okay, so it does come down to time. I agree. So say, for example, to make things easy, if you did an hour haircut, you charge $100. And then if you quicker and you do it in half an hour, you maybe charge $60. All right. But like, how does it work here in San Diego and, you know, California? A lot of the top larger salons are doing longer hairs more, shorter hairs a bit cheaper. All right. But again, it comes down to time. Yeah. So shorter hair, you can be a little bit quicker. But I'll be honest, sometimes I can do shorter hair and it takes longer. All right, so those are kind of the questions. So personally, for me, I would say go on the length of the hair. Okay.
Great, thank you. That's all that I have in the chat box right now.
Oh, thank you very much, Natalie.
You're very welcome.
Okay, guys, so I'm just literally just bringing everything out from the head at 90. Okay, so just carrying everything on, all blunt. So everything is 90 from the head. All right, so you can start to see that. Let's get that dolly head a little bit closer so you can start to see. So you're just working on the base, 90, slightly diagonal. Yeah, so it's more comfortable for you, everything. You've got a guideline at the top. So if you lose the guideline or you through the diagonal, you've always got a guideline at the top. So you've got that kind of like, wow, I've got a guide here and I've got a guide here. And you just kind of carry on all the way down to the nape. So we're going to go now onto a profile. So then you can start seeing me going into the back. And the hair's starting to dry out nicely now, you know, and I've diluted that gel with the leave-in conditioner or the leave-in treatment. So again, that's something that, you know, a lot of people shy away, and we all have our favorite product to go to. You know, we all have the same product we use on a certain hair types. So I think when you're doing like different hair or short hair, it's sometimes nice to come out the box and think, wow, I've never thought about cutting with gel and leave-in treatment before. You know, if you can take away one or two things from this class, then it's been worth watching. You know, I'm a big believer that, you know, sharing is caring, and the beauty of learning is no one can take it from you. What I use that quote a lot in our classes. Yeah, we have a slide in on our presentation, and it says, the beauty of learning is no one can take it from you. And what that means is, because I'm English, I've been trained in different companies, different brands. I've traveled around the world, and I've been influenced by different people. And it's exactly the same as yourselves. Yeah, you've been influenced by different people in your salon, different places you've worked, different brands you've followed, different educators you've seen. So everybody gets inspired in different ways. And that's what I love about it. And the good thing about it, no one can take it away from you. So whatever you learn, no one can take it from you, because that's what makes you the hairdresser you are today. All right. So we're always improving. There's always something new out there. So what I'm doing here now, I'm cross-checking it the opposite way. So I went diagonal back, but now I can go diagonal forward, and just to check to see if there's any little bits. It's always good just to check. I love cross-checking, and also cross-checking is a confidence builder for the client. So if you've got a client who's a little bit nervous, just cross-check it, yeah? Even get your comb and use it as a ruler and just check, and she's like, wow, no one's ever done that before. There, and that's a confidence builder behind the chair. Okay, so now we go on to the opposite side. So we've literally worked from the temple area, and we've worked all the way into the center of the back. So now we're going to go and do the opposite side. Okay, so my fingers are going to go down. Okay, and I'm literally working diagonal back. My elevation again is the same. So my distribution, the way I'm combing the hair and where I'm elevating the hair is 90. Okay, and I'm blunt cutting. And I've got my guideline at the top. So instead of going in and thinking, oh, I don't even have a guideline, I don't even know where to cut. Well, my guideline's at the top because we worked the guideline all the way through. Okay, so literally bringing everything out on the base, all blunt. Okay, I'm using our 6.25 edge shears. I also have my own scissors, which we have at Edge. So there's a lot of brands out there, different scissor companies and stuff. So we decided to make our own scissor. So these are the 6.25s. All right, so these are really popular. They're probably our most popular scissor we have. We have two scissors. We have the 6.25s, and we also have the 7-inch scissors. All right, the 7 inches are also nice to customize with, or if you're a barber or you do a lot of scissor over comb, then you know the 7s are really nice to use. Okay, so I'll be using the 7 inches on the top, and underneath we'll be using the 6.25s. Okay, if anybody's interested in a new scissor, or you want to, you know, get a new scissor, because you're ref clients, and we're obviously a ref academy here in San Diego, we will give you $100 discount. Okay, so if you reach out to us and say you were on the class or you stock ref, then we will give you $100 off because you're part of our family. Okay, so I'm just going to literally continue working all the way into the center of the nape. So I'm literally working with my fingers down, and I'm working all the way now into the center of the nape. All right, so exactly the same process. Distribution, elevation is 90. It's all blunt cut. If this was an inch or two longer, say it was, the lady said, I want to have a pixie, but I want it a little bit longer. I want it to be a bit more lived in, a little bit more grown out, then I would maybe point cut it. So maybe another inch on here. So if you're doing a pixie at like maybe 2 or 3 inches long, you could get away with point cutting it. You can even get away with doing a pixie with a razor. But when it's so short like this, razor cutting and point cutting is not going to make much of a difference. Okay, when it gets longer, that's when it's going to get a little bit more shattered. All right, so if you're a hairdresser out there who does a lot of razor cutting, or you do a lot of point cutting, then a little bit longer than this length, and you could get away with doing those techniques. All right, so that's why I chose to do it blunt today, because we're going a little bit shorter and a little bit stronger for the underneath. But like I said before, the consultation was key, and the client turned around and said, look, I don't want to go above my ears. So if you can see, we're leaving a little bit of length on this mannequin head, that it's not cut right round the ear. It's going to be left over the ears a little bit. Okay, so we're finished through there, completed the underneath. I'm pretty happy with that. So what you could do then, you could just literally check your balance. Okay, so in a way, you're my mirror, because I'm looking straight at you and you're my mirror. So in a way, I can check my balance with my comb. You know, this is an 8-inch comb. It's got 8 inches on the spine, so you could check it, and you could just check, make sure your balance is like that. If you like to pull out and check your balance like that, or pull it up like this, there's lots of ways you can check your balance. Okay, what you can do now is you can get a hairdryer if you wish, and just dry the underneath off. So get your hairdryer. Okay, so just literally get the hairdryer, and then you just literally just dry it down. This is going to be a little disconnection. It's going to be like an undercut. So the top is not connected. Okay, so let's dry all that flat. I don't want to use a brush. I don't want to get it big hair. So I'll just dry all that off. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Keep it nice and flat. And then I can start to detail where necessary. So I want to do the outline. Okay. So some of you might look at this front section like that. And some clients might say, I like it piecey. I like it on my face. I like some feathers. I like it a little bit looser. So again, all comes from your consultation. Does she wear it forward or does she wear it back? Does she like it piecey on the face or does she like, get it off? I hate it. Yeah. So these are kind of key things when you're talking through your haircut. We know she wants to keep it over the ears a little bit. So we're going to point cut now. So we're just literally going to point cut the perimeter, just a little bit looser, keeping it over the ear. So it's over the ear, it's not round. And then, do you want to have it piecey? I'm going to carve this front section off. I'm going to literally work it on the skin and literally just carve that front hairline away. Okay. But again, what you see and what I see are always different. And that's what I love about hairdressing. You know, we all have our own individual take on it. I can teach you this technique. Yeah, I can teach you it because it's a horseshoe. We're literally working a graduation underneath. We're going to then work a little disconnected panel through the top. I can teach you it. Yeah, but guess what? I can't teach you taste. Taste is your own taste. Yeah, so what you see and what I see are always going to be a bit different. So if you feel like you want to cut this 2 inches shorter, go for it. If you want to cut this and leave it a little bit longer, go for it. So, you know, the length, what you choose comes down to your own personal taste and your client's taste. Okay. So for me, it's just combing the hair onto the skin there. Let's turn this dolly head around so you can have a better, closer look at her. Lighting's better now. The sun was shining crazy this morning here at San Diego, so we were quite bright early. We're just literally combing that down, carving that front hairline out. I think everyone can see that. So you're starting from the bottom and you're just literally carving that out, all that front hairline off. And then you just literally just point cut round over the ear, keep it nice and loose and grown out. Okay. Tidy up around the hairline, just through there. And then you just got that little bit at the back. And then we got the hairline at the back, keeping that again nice and broken up. Things like the hairline here as well, you just have to look and see how the hair's sitting. Because if you've got a lady whose hair grows into the middle, she has an uneven hairline, she has a whirl. These are things that you might just need to do it all freehand. So in a way, look, don't put any tension on there, don't put your fingers on there, just cut it a little bit more freehand. Maybe even get the client to move her neck a few times, maybe roll her head, yeah, and then all of a sudden see if it jumps up in any way. There's nothing much worse than this jumps up, and then if it jumps up and goes spiky, then it's like, okay, what do I do now? You have to cut it all off. All right, so just keep that nice and loose, lift in. If you're a hairdresser who thinks that's too blunt and you feel it's a bit too heavy internally, then what you could do, you could go in here now and personalize. You could literally go in now, check the shape, and you can go in and do some deep point cutting. Yeah, if you wanted to break that up even more. I don't want to, because I've done a nice disciplined foundation haircut. It's got a real nice foundation in there. It's really blunt, it's clean, it's balanced. I want it to keep the foundation. It's like building a house. When you've got the right foundation, it's going to last longer. So this haircut, when it grows out, it's going to be really nice. But what I want to do is I want to have this top a lot softer and more shattered through the top. So I want to have that kind of contrast of blunt, but then this more choppier through the top. Okay, so we're finished with the underneath. So it was palm to palm, everything out at 90, tidied up through the hairline, and now we're going to crack on with the top. So before we do all the top, I'm going to isolate a fringe section out. So if I put a head slightly forward like that, I'm going to isolate from the apex. So if you don't know where the apex is, if you put a comb flat on the head like so, where the head starts to curve round, that's where we're going to take it from. All right, and literally we're going to do like a little, so basically like a little, like a U, would I say, like a U section there. And then what it will look like is all this crown area will look like a halo now. So the hair, what I've got in my hands, yeah, what I'm holding, not the fringe, but the hair here now looks like a halo section. All right, so basically I've just done like a little curving section, just taking out that fringe, okay? And I want to play with that later. All right, so I just want to make sure that's a little bit cleaner. Okay, just get that nice and clean. So you just done that little kind of semicircle there. Okay, so what I'll do now is grab all that fringe and we'll cut it later. I've got an option to how short we want to take the fringe later. It's nice to have options when you're doing a haircut. All right, so I'll just clip that out of the way. I like to clip it on the side because if it's a real client, it's nothing much worse than she's having a haircut and it's stuck in. Okay, so pop the head a little bit down. All right, so now we're going to go into the top. Okay, so working within this top section, there's plenty of length. All right, so going back to your consultation, she wanted it choppy, she wanted volume, she wanted texture. So this is too long. If she wanted it flatter, then I would leave this top longer. Okay, so I'm going to do a center section right through the middle. Okay, about as wide as my cutting comb, all the way through the middle. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the 6s now. These are the 6.25s. We're finished with them. All right, now we're going to go on to the big boys. Feel like a gardener. These are 7s. All right, so some of your hairdressers out there may probably never use the 7, or you do. These are fantastic for scissor over comb. The longer your blade, the better your scissor over comb will be, because you don't get lines. So traditionally, a barber has always used large scissors, and hairdressers back in the day were using like, 4.5, 5, 6. Scissors have got a little bit bigger now, but traditionally, a barber always uses a larger scissor for scissor over comb, taking out bulk and working with customization. So that's why I'm changing the scissor, because I'm going to point cut and I'm going to make it a lot choppier through the top. So I'm going to work right through the center, 90 from the head. I'm going to go on a profile so you can have a better look what we're doing. All right. And I'm going to bring everything to the ceiling. Okay. So I'm going to bring everything to the ceiling. So it's all going to the ceiling, 90. Okay. So let's see if I can get me the shot there, get the money shot. All right. So bring it all up there. And then how short you take this all comes down to your consultation. So for me, she said she wanted it choppy and a bit broken up. So we're bringing that up at 90. Decide what you want to do, and then you point cut it. Okay, it's nice and choppy. All right, so we're just literally, elevation is 90. Yeah, and then we're literally up to the ceiling. And then we're going to follow the curve of the head. So then I'm going to go to the corner of the ceiling. So I'm not going to the wall. I'm not going to the wall, but I'm going to the corner of the ceiling. All right. So I follow the head shape at 90. Okay. All right. So my distribution is just 90, 90, 90. Okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to over direct everything into the middle. So I'm going to work on a concave layer through this top. So it's a little bit concaved. So what that means is the rest of the hair now is over directed into the middle. All right. So we're pulling all this hair now into the middle to create a little concave layer. So what will that do? It'd create me a little bit of an overhang through the sides. I want it to be a little bit more disconnected. All right, so we work it with a little overhang. Do exactly the same now on the opposite side. So I'll change my body position. I stand on the opposite side. I'll give you a front shot so you can see what we're doing. All right, and then I'll just literally over direct all that hair into the middle. Okay, so over directing into the middle, point cutting through. Okay, so the hair is coming to the ceiling, so and then literally going to the corner of the wall. Nice and choppy though. Okay, grab all that hair if you wish. Check it through. Okay, so any other questions, Natalie?
Nothing at the moment, Anthony.
That's
I
good.
do have a quick question though, in regards to buying the combs and the accessories, if they wanted the scissors, should I just email you afterwards, the people, or do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to do that. If anybody reaches out to you or me, and then you can get us on social media, and then I can knock off 100 and we can send them out that way. We can
Perfect.
do a deal. And we,
I have,
yeah,
I have quite a few people. And then the other question was, what kind of blow dryer were you using?
Oh, I was using the Gamma.
Gamma.
Yeah, I think some of the stockists or some of the distributors out there, I know they have it, but yeah, I used the Dyson for a bit, and then this came out, and blew me away. So for me, I love it. All right, I think the wire is heavier than the actual hairdryer, so it's the gamma. Okay. All right, so just literally pulling everything into the middle. We're just literally just point cutting, nice and personalized. We just literally broke all that up. And then if you feel like, whoa, that's too long still, you know, then you can go back in and cut more off. Yeah, it's honestly up to you. What you see and what I see are always going to be different because it comes down to taste. I can show you the technique, like I said earlier, but that taste is all about that length. All right, so I'm happy with that back area. I don't want to get carried away. So now my final part of the haircut is the fringe. Okay, so you bring this down, and this is the final part of the haircut. Okay, so what do you want to do with the fringe? Do you want to keep it longer? Would you want to cut it off? You know, so fringes are very personal. In a way, as a hairdresser, and especially a hair cutter, this is where you feel like a plastic surgeon, because you want to bring out the good assets, and you also want to hide the bad assets. Okay, so does she want to have a sweepy fringe? You could work on like something like a little asymmetric fringe if you wanted to, keep it sweepy. You could literally work on a teardrop. A teardrop fringe is basically cutting a corner away and a corner away, and then you can flip it like a switch fringe. You could literally work on something quite short and choppy. Okay, so again, it's personal choice. What you're going to look out for when you're doing a fringe is their face shape, yeah, their neck, their jawline, the eyes, the eyebrow, the forehead. So you're going to look out for all that. And then also looking on a profile. What's her nose like? If you take this really short, then all of a sudden you're going to emphasize the nose. Then also accessories. Does the client wear glasses? Yeah. You know, things like that. All little things like that I've got to take into consideration. Does she say she loves it on her face? Leave it longer. If she says, I hate it on my face, then it's coming off. All right, so if you've seen the image which was advertised on social media, literally the fringe was short. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so the image was shorter. So what we're going to do now, we're going to use the point of layering from the top. So the layer through the top, as you can see, there's the layer through the top. All right, I'm going to connect it in, but I'm going to work my angle to the wall instead. So I'm going to cut to the wall. So instead of following the head at 90, I'm going to over direct it, and I'm going to cut it more vertical. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a center section right through the middle. So right through the middle of the head, right through the nose, where the nose is. Okay, we bring that forward. So my elevation is 90 to over directed. Okay, so I'll bring it forward to the client, and then I'm literally going to point cut this. If you're a little bit nervous cutting a fringe on wet hair, best thing to do is dry it all now. Dry it all and then cut this bit when it's dry, because it's nothing much worse if it jumps up too much and you're like, surprise. All right, and then we're going to over direct everything into the middle. So we're going to work on a concave fringe. So in a way, came up with this idea before everybody's talking about the curtain fringe or the curtain bang. Normally, when you say curtain bang, you're working on like longer hair or a shag haircut, or like, you know, somebody who's got longer length. But you can also do a nice little curtain bang on a pixie. And that's what we're doing here. We're just going to pull everything into the middle. Nice and choppy. Okay, and then you can start to see you've got a short bit there and a long bit there. So what I want to do now, I want to dry it all off. Yeah, and then I want to detail this even more. Okay, so back to the hairdryer. And I'm going to dry it. So again, the blow dry is as much as important. So I'm going to bring it coming forward. Okay, so I want it to be nice and modern. Okay, so bringing that forward, keeping it nice and modern, the shape. Okay, so you bring all that forward. If you feel like, okay, my client likes a bit more volume in this, then you could take it back. You can do whatever you like. You can use a round brush. All right, so we're going to go back in and just customize, and then we should be finished. Okay, so I'm going to customize all the top and break it up a bit. Okay, so we just bring everything following the shape, the same way you put it. So we're just going to go back through the top. We're just going to do a little bit of deep point cutting through here through the top. So I'll just break it up wherever necessary. So it's all about customization. So just breaking it up, putting your signature on there. So in a way, this is a bit like decorating a house. You put the foundation in, you built the house, but now you're decorating. So how you choose your wallpaper and your paint and your own personal taste is a bit like customizing. All right, so I'm just going to do a little bit of deep point cutting. If we've got any distributors watching this, or we've got any salon owners watching, if you like this demonstration and you'd like to see us come do more online, you know, reach out to Natalie. We can do more classes for you. Also, we can even do some private seminars for you. So if you're a salon and you would like to have Ref and Anthony in your salon live doing some hair cutting, we could do a VIP class for you. We do a lot of that. We're offering a lot of that sort of stuff at the moment. Because of COVID, we're not traveling as much, but we can still inspire you over the internet. All right, so if any of you are interested, please reach out to Natalie, and we can talk about maybe planning a VIP class for your salon or for your distribution. We have a distributor who's a good friend of ours in Wisconsin, Brava, where I've been doing live demonstrations every week for their ref clients. So if anybody out there is like, oh, I'd love to get a little bit more on what he's doing, I like the haircut, I like how he does it, then we can plan maybe some more education in the future. All right, so we're loving that shape. Can you believe there's a gel in here and there's a leave-in conditioner? A lot of people like gel, it's going to be sticky. It's gorgeous, okay? So looking great. So what we're going to do now, we just literally go into the fringe. I want to open that fringe up a little bit more. I'm going to do a technique called carving. Carving is a bit like channel cutting, and you just cut on a J. So I'm going to bring the dolly head as close as I can so we can get a little bit more detail in there. All right, so literally combing that down now. Yeah, and I'm just literally going to comb that down like a channel cut, but then I'm going to cut it on a J. So I'm going to go down and then I'm going to angle it and then cut the length off, and cut the length off, and then cut the length off. So I'm going to cut it down onto a J. Okay, so that's how we're literally doing that. Okay, I'm just taking a little bit of weight out. So you're really breaking up that fringe even more. I want the fringe to be really piecey and chunky though, not feathered. So I'm going this way to make it chunkier. If I wanted it more feathered, I'd go this way with my scissors and go up and make it wispy and softer. So if the client likes it wispy, go this way. Go that way. Oh, sorry. Okay. Break that out. And I like these kind of little, flicky bits. Some of you might think, oh, I don't like them. Cut them off. Again, that comes down to personal taste. So again, everyone has their own kind of spin on something, but I like the little details, and that's what you're paying for. Is paying for those kind of little details. I like those kind of little bits on the sides. Okay, maybe a little bit of slicing. Not get carried away. Just a little bit, and then move it around. Client wants to move it around. See what it looks like. Yeah. Okay, so we have a few minutes left before under the hour. You know, we talked a lot about who I am and the intro and stuff like that, but this haircut, believe it or not, guys, you can do it in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes behind the chair. You know, when it's quick, it's really going to be simple and effective because you just move it around. So it's really simple. It's 3 sections in a way. The section is the horseshoe, and then everything's graduated underneath. Little tricks of the horseshoe. We started at the sides to keep the client involved what length. We did a guideline all the way around the horseshoe So it helps us with our control of our elevation and balance. Then you started at the side, into the nape, tidied up all the hairline, and then we went and took out the fringe, just to give a little bit of detail with the fringe, so you could leave it longer or shorter, the fringe. We did a concave layer, so shorter in the middle, and put everything into the center. So it's a little bit of a concave layer, so we get this overhang. So there's a little longer pieces on the sides, so it's really nice. And then we just carved out the fringe to make it a little bit more modern. Okay, so we want to finish off, you know, it looks great, but how can I make this look better? The most obvious thing is color. All right, if I colored this model now and did the color underneath different colored placement through the fringe, it's going to be like, wow, that looks cool. So how do I make more money from this client? All right, that's what it comes down to. All right, also, how do I make the client look really good that her boyfriend, girlfriends, all her friends, her family say, wow, who's done your hair? It's great. Because the word of mouth is the best way of advertising still today. So how do we get those clients to come back and make them, you know, be busy hairdresser behind the chair? Is making this client look really hot. So how do we can make it look hotter? By introducing color, but also finishing off with the right product. Because if I let her walk out like that now, it's going to go fluffy. All right. So there's loads of product choices within Ref, what we could use. We've used the sculpting gel and then the leave-in conditioner. You could have used a mousse if you preferred. You could have used a fiber mousse. You could have used one of the mousses. You could finish off with spray wax. If this was a bit longer, I could work in a spray wax. But what I'm going to use instead, well, you could use rough paste. You know, rough paste, one of my favorite is rough paste. You know, if I could do most of my boys, I do one of the pastes and stuff like that. But if you want to go on the pucks, if you've got the pucks to offer, then you've got something like lighter, which is the foaming cream. So if you want something a little bit lighter, hold, and you can play around with it and you can manipulate it that way. If you want something a bit drier, then you've got the rough paste. So think about, is she wanting shine or is she wanting matte? Then if she turns around and says, oh, I want shine, but I want hold, then you've got the styling wax, okay, because you've got some shine in here. And she says, oh, I don't want any shine. Then you go back down to the rough wax. And then if they say, oh, I love shine, then you use the pomade. So there's your kind of the 4 pucks. So you're going from the hold and you're going from the shine. So if they want loads and loads of shine, I'm going to go pomade. If I want a bit more hold, then I'm going to go with the styling wax. If they turn around and say, I don't want any shine, I'm going to go for the styling wax. And then finally, I'm going to go for the foaming cream. What shall I go for? All right, I might go for the old rough wax. Why not? All right, it's in the middle. All right, so a little bit of the rough wax, show your client how to apply it. All right, so you show the client, get the client involved, put your hands together, work it through, and then just literally work in all the paste in there. Okay, and then you just literally just finish off, detail wherever necessary. And there we have today's class. It's 8:59 here in San Diego, just under the hour. Thank you so much for everybody tuning in. It's been an absolutely pleasure to team up with Natalie and the Ref team. Any questions, feel free to ask Natalie. You can DM us. I'm on social media as Anthony Edge 74, or you can get me as the Edge the Academy. If you've got any questions about Ref, speak to me or Natalie. I'm pretty good now with Ref. I felt the pressure of Natalie thinking, how's my product knowledge going?
Doing great. You got it. She looks beautiful, Anthony. You did a great job. A lot of compliments in the chat box directly to the group, and then also private message to me. People love the versatility of the cut. You really simplified it, broke it down for them. So super great class, very useful, and everybody seemed to really like it a lot. So thank you very much for your time and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you.
I put my email in there. If you have any questions, any of the stylists that are on right now, you can email me. And if it's regarding Anthony Edge, his combs, anything about the class, feel free to reach out and we'll get you in touch with him and we'll get you the information that you need. Thank you, everyone.
Stay safe, everybody. We love you.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.